Hi, I'm LordJekington, and I'm here to tell you the basics of the Adjiboobian Truth Teller System, the ATS. The ATS will appear in the right-hand corner of all Adjiboobian TV programming. All statements will be fact-checked by the Truth Teller robots we have hanging upside down in our basement. There are 4 symbols in the system: Adja, Ush Ush, Winning Smile, and Evil Trin. Adja is absolutely confirmed true. Oddity is too lazy to cite everything but the developers, Adja High Command, or other people have confirmed it as true. Call Oddity for inaccuracies, so he will be tortured severely. Ush Ush is anything that is theorized but not confirmed. It's probably true, but we do not know, and devs could say wrong or change it. Winning Smile is anything that is probably not canon and just in the film for fun. Zarp definitely happened though. We were there and were shot dead 5 times. Evil Trin is anything that is definitely wrong. Evil Trin adding fake info to video to hurt the babies. Ugh! Congratulations, you are now ready to watch Nintendo TV. Enjoy the following film.
Welcome to the final part in our series on the lore of Scopes and Shovels 2. Our trip through time has been quite long, but now we reach the present day of the game, in which all current events in-game are taking place. In the last video, we covered the Second Conjubulation preparing to invade Europe and the Old World in general, and while some attempts were made to prepare for advantage against them, it seems they're all about to make landfall anytime soon. Let's quickly review the alliances and conflicts before we start. Stay tuned at the end for a special announcement. The Second Conjubulation, led by Conjubador, met with the Ajamians pre-war, but only had trade relations with them, and this was a singular encounter from current information. The Pampelonian Empire is aligned with the Conjubulation and serving as their main ally in Pacific, Asia, and the Old World, helping them cross the Pacific or the Atlantic. We're referring to them in the future as the Pan-Pacific Alliance, since the developers declared the Conjubulation went through the west coast to cross into Europe rather than through the Atlantic and landing in Europe. The Ajamians have been in a war against the Trin Empire for the entirety of the 500 years since World War IV, but the Trin Empire themselves are unaligned with any Earth faction. The Second Conjubulation is enemies with the Emerald Empire, the Tuvatin and the Tuvatin Legion, both of which are directly aligned. Additionally, the Emerald Empire is allied with the Horpschlandic Republic. It is unknown if Ufar, the Republic of Stars, or Obiazananurus are directly aligned. The Second Conjubulation have all invaded these three areas. Alright, you got all that? Let's begin. As previously stated, the Ajamian Empire and the Trin Empire have been fighting on Venus, and their conflict has been ongoing prior to the Second War of Scopes and Shovels starting. Conflicts are waged across floating islands of Venus. Developer comments have declared the battle over Peanut Island to be prior to the first battle of the War of Scopes and Shovels. 2. The Ajamians are invading Venus to investigate whether their prophet, Yan Dima, is being held by the Trins, with acquiring more livable space due to Europa's unstable and freezing landscape. While you as the player can any weapon in the weapon pool, and these weapons coming from various countries of origin, it is actually unknown whether we are canonically supposed to have them. It's pretty likely that they're just cloned versions ordered by regiments, or varieties that were already owned pre-war, but still worth noting as the Trins have the Kelly rifles, which were only both recently invented due to being a completely original gun design to the game and invented on Earth. I don't think the Emerald Empire can send shipments to space, or that the Trins are going to Earth to rob rifles. Probably. On the very first day of the year, 2542, the Second War of Scopes and Shovels begins, and the Conjubulation makes a massive events, deploying forces into Siberia, Africa, and Spain for their initial landfall. Pampelonians are presumably in this force, as their navy is likely engaging the Emerald Empire's navy to prevent landing forces. On January 1st, the Conjubulation forces begin moving across the Austrian Alps and make their way into the first battlefield of the war, Octung Valley, defended by Sergeant J. Lynch of the 112th Regiment of the Emerald Empire. The Conjubulation seized a tower nearby and renaming it into Fort Conjunglement before beginning the 7-day siege of Octung. Conjubulation forces begin moving across no man's land in the initiating move, before utilizing human wave tactics to break down at the Emerald defenders, overwhelming them and pushing them back into Fort Madra. Fighting continued at the base of the tower, as the distance from Point Apples was only a small walking distance, making close combat viable, especially on the stairs up Madra. Emerald sapper teams attempted to establish a strong point, but once the Conjubulation had mobilized K4 field guns, this was in vain. Constant bombardment directly into the tower caused heavy casualties and resulted in the capture of Fort Madra to Conjubulation forces. Sergeant Lynch was the only survivor who was not captured in this conflict, as the bombardment launched him from 3 stories off the tower, his fall softened by the piles of dead nearby. Otherwise, no known Emerald forces escaped the Conjubulation, being taken prisoner. General Johnson of the Imperial Army considered this to be a Pyrrhic victory for the Conjubulation, as they incurred an estimate of 700 to 1,000 soldiers dead in the conflict, with the Emerald forces only losing 200 men in battle, and 60 during the siege itself. The date of this conflict is unknown, but in the underground joint mines of the Emerald Empire and the Horpschlandic Republic, a conflict occurs between the miners of each state, although for what cause is unknown. At the time of writing this script, it was unknown, but the developers have confirmed that this was the Emerald Empire trying to force the Horps into the War of the Conjubulation. Depending on the winner of each match, the Emerald Miners either successfully take the Horpic Fort to send a message to their high command, probably to join the war, or if the Horps win, they just go back to work. This presumably does not cause a war between the two allied nations, despite having armed forces involved. Conjubilation forces invade Siberia, and fighting begins on the map Kurgan, as the Conjubilation seeks to capture the Obezian Rus's underground fort. Depending on the ending, the Conjubilation either continues moving into Obezian Rus territory, or they are simply just repelled. This, coincidentally, is the resting place of the old god soldier from the beginning, who died! And you can get the musket from him. Shut up. The Conjubilation prepares to invade Iberia for easier access into Pyrenees. Italy's defenders are stationed at Fort Clemens and are presumably defending, as the victory slide says they're using it to slow the Conjubilation advance. However, this is for naught, as the Conjubilation most likely takes Fuente Peak and begins moving deeper into Italy's territory, beginning the second confirmed battle of the war. On February 3rd, 2542, the town of Oldwater is evacuated by Mayor P. Russell to the town of Sulpice, since the Conjubilation advance is preparing to annex their village. By February 5th, the town is desolate, save for the Itole's army entrenching themselves in Fort Walker, as the Conjubilation takes Fort Onion, renaming it to Fort Eagles. Depending on the ending, the town is either simply converted into a Conjubilation field hospital, or is simply liberated. The final event in the timeline, as we know, takes place a full 2 years ahead in the timeline, and is active in Africa. On August 2544, Major Alex of the 3rd UFAR Vanguard Rangers receives a large shipment of weapons from Captain Aldan Connolly of the 3rd Expeditionary Logistics Corps of the Emerald Empire Imperial Army, prior to the beginning of the Battle of Kachaika. Unfortunately, that's currently it for the in-game lore. Unfortunately, this is the shortest part of the video since the games are still in open alpha, but I really hope you enjoyed this ride, even if a lot of it was just kind of us making up nonsense. This is my first voice video, so that was a lot of work, and this is definitely my highest effort video ever. I'd like to thank everyone at the Slop Factory team for their contributions, big and small, the Octosoft developer team for providing so much information and making the game, of course, and finally, you. Yes, you. At the time of writing the script, I only wrote that you got me to 150 subscribers. Right now we're at 200. I mean, damn. And if how tiny this game's community is, this is a really huge milestone for me. Thank you everyone for watching everything, really, and just sticking around even though during the game's low player count days. I mean, thank God that happened like 5 times. I really believe the game has a long future ahead of it, which is why I'm putting in so much effort. And now that the Venus update is out, the game's alive and we're all bleeding again. I hope to see you in game, and even through the chat update, say hi. As for a final announcement, I'd like to announce the opening of the Scopes and Shovels 2 / Octosoft fan wiki, and with the opening of the Slop Factory Discord server. Obviously I highly encourage you to join the community server. Slop Factory lets you discuss what's posted. Obviously I highly encourage you to join the S&S2 community server, that's official. The Slop Factory lets you discuss what's posted on the fan wiki and get early access or whatever to upcoming videos and stuff. I think that's it, really. Thank you for everything. A younger me couldn't have dreamed of getting here. Please remember to like and comment, just because even though getting monetized is important, I just want this game to get more popular. Spread the word to your friends and play with them. And of course, subscribe for more videos. I'll probably be taking a hiatus after this, besides the trickle of scheduled videos, but I'll make sure to cough up some kill compilations or whatever. Check my other channel, since I'll probably be posting more hobby content there soon, like Warhammer or Life Shenanigans. Remember, stay gold. You're indestructible.